All right, everybody, this is Deacon Hayes. I'm trying to do this another shot at doing our YouTube live for today. I apologize for those that were here earlier. We had some technical issues, but the idea is want to see if we can get this to work. And so I'm going to test it here on my phone to make sure that you guys are all hearing it all right. And we'll go here. Give me just a couple minutes here to make sure this is all going good. So thanks for bearing with me while I figure out these technical difficulties. And we're going to go to testing. How's everything sound? If you can hear me, tell me if it sounds better. I'm trying to get rid of any echo that I might have. Oh my gosh, it sounds so much better. All right. All right, so I'm Deacon Hayes with Well Kept Wallet, and today we're going to go over budgeting basics. I'm going to send this video out for those of you that missed it via email, but basically we're doing this 5-week masterclass where we're teaching you everything that we can about money. And so today we're talking about budgeting basics. And before we get into budgeting basics, basically, I want to let you know that I have a book that I'm giving away called You Can Retire Early. You can get it by making a comment below about why you'd want to retire early. I'll be giving that away towards the end. So make sure to make those comments. And so let's get started. So one of the things I wanted to do on these kind of these YouTube lives is kind of give us a current state of money. Like, where are we currently when it comes to money? So here you can kind of see this is bank rate, and they're showing that the national average for mortgages is 6.82% on a 30-year mortgage, which is crazy because it was just under 3% like a year and a half ago. You can see average credit card by generation. The younger generations are only at $2,500, but if you get to Generation X, they're at $7,923. So you can see credit cards up there. Average student loan is about $30,000 according to U.S. News and World Report. The average car payment, now this is something that really struck me, was $667. I remember when I was paying off my debt, our debt, and we basically had like a $300 a month car payment. So this is like double what I was paying back in the day. Used cars are $515. So I just want to kind of give you a state of where we are economically and why I know that there's a need for budgeting and figuring out how to budget. And so basically we're going to go through some questions that people provided already. And then if you have questions, feel free to leave them in the YouTube chat. But we'll get started. So I'm going to pull up here the questions that we have. And we've got... Give me 1 second here because I closed it out from the last time here. It'll just take me a second. So once again, if you have questions, please leave them in the comments. If you're having any issues hearing me, also let me know that as well in the comments. So make sure we get this buttoned up for future YouTube lives. And so we've got a couple questions from a lady named Gwen. And so Gwen, her first question is, how to budget for elders who have health issues, limited income, and who intend to start a new business next year. So first off, if you have health issues, it's very important to make sure that you have all of those budgeted in, right? So any hospital visits, your monthly medical premiums, your doctor visits, any prescriptions that you might have, make sure that those are all on there. So one way that you can save as far as prescriptions go is there's a free app called GoodRx. I use it when I get prescriptions. It's a way that you basically just provide a code to your pharmacy and they'll give you a discount on whatever that prescription is. You don't even have to use insurance. So that's a great way to reduce, some of your healthcare expenses if you're doing prescriptions on a regular basis. Another thing, really, it comes down to anybody who's budgeting, whether you're young or old. It should be this way, young or old. It doesn't matter. But anyways, what you should be considering is there's two sides of the budgeting equation, your income and your expenses. So you want to increase your income and reduce your expenses, right? And so one of the things I would say is, if you're elderly and you have some time and you can, you have some capacity. So let's say transcribing. Maybe you've typed for most of your life and you could just type at the comfort of your own home at your couch, transcribing for somebody. Another thing that you could do is tutor. Maybe you were a teacher and you could tutor someone for math or English or a foreign language, whatever it might be, all online at the comfort of your own home. If you're a little bit more active, you could consider something like garage sale arbitrage. This is where you go to garage sales, buy stuff for less, sell it for more. So basically, I would go and I'd buy a router, let's say for $5, and then I'd sell it for $50 online, and make $30 to $40 profit in the middle. My grandma was an antique dealer. She would often find things like she found this coin silver pot, and she paid like $20 for it and sold it for over $1,000. She had a lot of different stories like that. So if you have kind of a knowledge base, whether it's antiques or collectibles or electronics or whatever it might be, you can use that to go buy stuff for less, sell for more. So really, I would just encourage you to look at that income side of the equation. The other way would be reducing your expenses. So going through line by line of your budget. We have a free budget at wellkeptwallet.com/starter-budget. But basically, it's an Excel budget form that will calculate everything for you. And that's actually part of our free masterclass that we launched. So if you go to wellkeptwallet.com on the homepage, you can sign up for the free masterclass. And basically, you'll get the free starter budget form. You'll get a free debt snowball form. You'll get a free debt net worth tracker. Basically, we're trying to give you all the tools and resources you need to be successful when it comes to managing your money so you can achieve your financial goals in life, have more freedom and more peace when it comes to your finances. So, but anyways, filling out your budget, and once you have all your expenses, you go line by line and say, how could I make that smaller? So the first thing you'd say is like, okay, well, you're looking at your housing expenses. Well, how could you make that smaller? Well, your electricity bill is something that you could have a little bit control over. So it could be making sure that you're only using your big appliances at certain times, off-peak hours. It could be making sure that your house is sealed so that you don't have heat or cold coming in that turns on your air conditioner and works it harder and therefore costs you more money. So these are all ways that you can kind of reduce your expenses so that you can, have more money to do whatever you want, like start a business. So you said that you're looking to start a business next year. So really what I would say, especially if you're elderly, there's a couple things to keep in mind. The first thing is I'd make sure that you have at least a 3 to 6 month emergency fund. So let's say that your expenses are $3,000 a month. So that'd be $9,000 to $18,000 sitting in a bank account for emergencies. So that way, because most businesses don't make money. And so you want to make sure that you have enough money in there to weather the storm while you're figuring out your business. The next thing I would say is make sure that you have any consumer debt paid off before you do this. So that would be any car loans, credit cards, student loans, personal loans. Make sure you have those paid off because it's really hard to start a business when you have all of these expenses that you have to pay and you're trying to grow a business. So you need to put capital into that business to grow it. So it's like you're trying to do two things at once, pay down debt and start a business. You're trying to save an emergency fund and start a business. So I just say make sure that you have those two things in place before you start your business. So that was the first question from Gwen. The second question from Gwen is how to schedule and consistently manage enough time to pay attention to finances, budgets, and bills when other priorities are also need attention. So I hear you, Gwen. I've got 2 kids, a puppy, and a wife, and things can get hectic as far as everybody's needs and things that got to, events we got to go to, all those types of things. So what I would say is I would use a tool like mint.com or Personal Capital. These are free tools where you can manage your finances. And the cool thing about them is they'll automatically categorize all your expenses. So if you go grocery shopping, it will categorize it as groceries. If you go to fill up your car at the gas station, it will mark it as fuel. So it makes a lot of the budgeting process less tedious and easier so that you don't have to spend a lot of time and attention on that. So I really say I use Personal Capital. I love it because it has not only the budgeting side, but also it will show your net worth. It has retirement tools. So it's really easy to use. So that's the one that I like, but either one of those will be good resources for you. So thanks for those questions, Gwen. The next question comes from Sam. He said, real estate prices have soared, especially in Florida. We recently got approved for a $300,000 home loan. The interest rate is 7%. We're not sure if we could buy now, expecting the market to continue to rise, or should hold off until overall costs go down. Our rent is currently less than half of what our monthly mortgage payment would be for a $300,000 30-year home loan. I was thinking it could be a better option to wait, since even though we're paying rent, not building equity, real estate values could drop. If we buy now and the market collapses, it could end up costing us more money to buy now. I'm very hesitant, but my wife and her parents are suggesting we move forward before costs rise any further. However, they are real estate agents. While I know they mean well, I'd like to get some outside advice. And I think that's fair, Sam. So one thing I want to show you here, we're going to switch over to this chart. And this chart basically is going to show us what home prices have been over time. So basically, you can see, so back in 2006, I actually bought 2 properties at the height of the market. And you can see from 2006 all the way till about 2016, prices were about flat. So about 10 years, the market was flat. Nobody likes to talk about that, right? And the reason why I bring that up is because people think that the prices are only going to rise. And that isn't necessarily the case, right? We had one house that was foreclosed on because we had a renter moved out. We couldn't afford it. And then the other one we held for 10 years and lost $30,000 when we sold it. So I would just not buy the lie that prices only go up, right? Because they can come down, and history has shown that. How much are they going to come down? I don't know. But what I would say is, Sam, if you're looking to buy a home, here are some things to keep in mind. So I would say I would put at least 20% down. So if you're talking about a $300,000 home, you're going to want at least $60,000 to put down. Then you have to consider moving expenses, maybe updating the house once you get there. There might be some things that you need to adjust. So like $5,000 to $10,000 for that. And then let's say you want to have at least a 3 to 6 month emergency fund. So kind of like what we talked about earlier, if your expenses are $3,000 per month, then basically you want to make sure that you have anywhere between $9,000 and $18,000 in emergency fund. So that's almost $100,000 of cash before you even think about going to get the house, right? I'd also recommend that you have any high interest debt paid off, any credit cards, personal loans, cars, things of that nature, so that it makes the house more affordable. The other thing you want to keep in mind is this kind of rule of thumb of 25% of your take-home pay. So if you make $4,000 a month, then you want to get something that's a mortgage around $1,000 per month. And so let's say if you make $8,000 and $2,000 per month, etc. So hopefully, Sam, these give you some metrics to go by. So instead of kind of dictating whether or not you purchase real estate on what the price of real estate is going to be, I would use these metrics to kind of guide you in when would be a good time to purchase a home. So I appreciate those questions, Sam. Now, we actually have a series of questions from Marsala here. We'll go over. If you have any questions, make sure to leave them in the comments on YouTube, and I will try to get those addressed here before the end of this YouTube Live. So the first question from Marsala is, can budgeting tools be trusted? Ooh. Will it have access to my account and therefore my account be susceptible to fraud? So it's a good question, and you know it's interesting because when I started budgeting, these tools didn't exist. Everything was on paper. That makes me sound old. I mean, I'm not that old, but everything was on paper or maybe an Excel file, right? So let me share with you here. This is mint.com, and so mint.com shows us kind of that security is serious to them. And they're actually from the makers of TurboTax and QuickBooks, which obviously TurboTax, millions of people use that to do their taxes. QuickBooks, lots of businesses use QuickBooks to manage their finances. So they have to be good when it comes to security. When they talk about how they do security scanning with VeriSign to help ensure security for sensitive data transfer. So when data is being transferred, that people can't go in there and try to hack it. And then the other thing is they have multi-factor authentication. So they have a way to say, hey, you know how you get that annoying text message like, oh, you can't log in yet. We're going to send you a 6-digit code that you have to put in, or email. That's a way to stop people from accessing your information. Personal Capital also talks about their encryption. They have an AES 256 encryption, which is the same standard of the U.S. military. So all that to say is, like, I hope this gives you peace of mind that these tools they put a lot into safety and security so that you can use them for your benefit. One thing also to know is they're not getting access to make transactions. So they're not buying and transferring money out of your account. What they're doing is you're just accessing what you've done in that account, how much money you've spent, how much income's coming in. So it's less intrusive than you probably think. So hope that answers your first question, Marsala. So we got a few more from her here. How frequently should I review my account to determine if I'm on track or need to make tweaks? What does maintenance look like? And another good question, because it's like, yeah, how much time should I really spend budgeting, right? Like the reality is like once you get going, you could probably take like 30 minutes a month to go through and like you talked about, categorize all your expenses, make sure that you do it appropriately. I'd say at first, I would say doing it weekly, just going through and just making sure everything's categorized correctly, kind of get it to where you want it to be. And then as time goes on, you can go to every other week to then once a month. But the idea is it shouldn't be an overwhelming process. So part of our free money masterclass is that we offer some videos in that class. Once again, you could go to wellkeptwallet.com on the homepage to sign up for that. But the idea is in the class, we'll talk about how you set up, some of these tools to make sure that you're budgeting, tracking your expenses and your financial progress. So hope that helps you there when it comes to, the account or the budgeting, maintenance, and how often you should do it. Next question, should I stop contributing to my 401k so that I can quickly pay off debt and build an emergency fund? Well, so I hesitate here, because if you're getting a match, I definitely don't want you to say, I'm taking away from my 401k to start paying off debt and emergency fund. What I would say is I would much rather you get a side hustle, find a way to make some extra money on the nights and weekends, ask your boss for a raise, figure out other ways to increase your income so that you can pay off your debt faster. That's what I did. I did pizza delivery at nights and on the weekends while I was doing a full 40 to 50 hour a week job. And then I also would go to yard sales and I would do that garage sale arbitrage where I'd buy stuff for less, sell it for more online. So I was really trying to do everything I could to kind of accelerate paying off debt with extra time and capacity. And now there's so many ways to do that in the gig economy, whether it's, delivering for Instacart or driving people around with Uber, whatever it might be, right? There are all these ways that you can make some extra money in your downtime. So yeah, instead of stopping contributing to your IRA or your 401k, I would definitely consider figuring out a way to increase your income. So hope that helps. Is it better to open a Roth IRA instead of contributing to my company's 401k? So a Roth IRA is great because it's after-tax dollars, which means you're already taxed, but the growth of that money is tax-free. So let's say you invest $100,000 into that IRA, that Roth IRA, and it grows to $1 million, you do not pay any taxes on that $900,000, which is amazing, right? Tax-free money. So I would just say, yeah, it really depends on your personal financial situation. So you want to check with your accountant or your financial advisor just to figure out which one's probably the most, effective for you. But I am a huge fan of the Roth IRA, and so if you have access to one and you can max it out, I would highly recommend doing that. So last question from Marcella. To make extra money, which is the best option? Passive income streams or actually a part-time job? So here's one of those things. I have a post about like 35 ways to make passive income. The reality is it takes one of two things. It either takes time or capital. So passive income is never free, right? Like you either have to put in the time up front, like writing a book or creating a course or whatever, and that takes a lot of time. Or capital, like you've got $100,000, you're going to put it into some stocks, some dividend and index funds, and they pay 4%, and you have $100,000, so you're getting $4,000 a year in passive income, right? So if you don't have the capital, it's going to take you time to develop a passive income stream. And the challenge with that is it typically is not going to pay you right away, right? You're going to put a lot of time, maybe even money up front. So I definitely would recommend for it, if that's your two options, to do the part-time job while you pay off debt, while you put money, into an emergency fund. And then once you have extra time and you have extra resources, start putting into things that create passive income streams like real estate and index funds. So Marcella, these are great questions. If anybody else has any other questions that they want to leave here in the chat, please do. Once again, if you comment on the video, I will be able to send you, or I'll pick a winner randomly. I got to be fair about this. But to my book, You Can Retire Early. All I want you to do is comment why you want to retire early. And just to give you kind of a little preface of what the book's about, it's basically you want to retire towards something, not away from something. Why would you don't want to live your entire life where you're actually working at a job you hate so that you can someday do something that you're interested in, right? So my approach is a little bit different. It's how do you set yourself up financially so that you can be going towards a life that you actually want to lead and that you have the financial freedom to do so. So yeah, make sure to comment why you'd want to retire in the chat. And I really appreciate you guys being here. This one's a little bit shorter just due to we had some technical issues. But I just want to let you know that we do have some more of these workshops coming up. On 1013, we're going to talk about paying off debt. On 1020, we're going to talk about ways to make extra cash. On 1027, we're going to talk about reducing your expenses. And then on 11.3, we're going to be talking about tracking your financial progress. So really just trying to do a holistic picture of your financial situation and how you can get to where you want to be. Make sure to go to wellkeptwallet.com. On the homepage, sign up for the free money masterclass if you haven't already. And thank you so much for being a part of this YouTube Live.